start right now sending invitation to your people. All right, 7 p.m., 7 p.m. Blessed good night, everyone. We are live, we are back. Women is back, and we are back with some kind of different flavor. We are back. We are welcome you to this series, this episodes, this segment. Welcome to Face It and Fix It, women's episode, and this is actually our first episode, right? The first part of the first episode. And for this month of October, we have decided to theme with you on the path to loving yourself. So my name is Lucia Carrera Jones. I am going to be the host for tonight, and I am going to give actually Facebook just a couple of minutes. I know a lot of you right now are being notified, and I am going to take 1 minute to see on my next device if we are really live, and to actually check on our page. In the meantime, let me say this again. This is women's, right? Women-owned media and education network. Go ahead and share with your ladies, because tonight we are starting our segment, Face It and Fix It, women's episode, the path to loving yourself, part 1. And we have a supercharged 1 hour here for you. In the meantime, again, let me see. I see some of you coming on, but I want you to tell us right now. You could put right there on the chat. Yes, we are live. We are live. Awesome, 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 awesome. Yo, start to tune in. Start to tune in. Come on, start to tell your friends. Start to share this live. Start to tell them, hey, you are actually late. You are about few minutes late. We are live. We are live. Yes, we are live. And let me give you some real motivation to actually start to come in. Start to come in. Some music. Come on. Let me see you coming in. Let me see you coming in. Let me see you coming in. Welcome. Face It and Face It, women episode, the path to loving yourself. Amazing. So let's just get started. Because we have one entire hour. Welcome. If you're tuning in, just let us know where you're tuning from. Tell us your name. The path to loving yourself, part 1. And tonight, I think that we have given Facebook enough time to actually send out all the notifications. I see some of you already coming in, and we have with us tonight, this is our very first episode, first part of the very first episode. We are a platform who always listen to you. We had an amazing month of August, and you have been requesting for women to do actually much more. You want us to come here live. You want us to actually be talking to you. And tonight we are answering that call. Tonight we have with us in this first episode 2 powerhouse ladies, 2 awesome ladies that actually will come and share with us about the journey, their testimonies. They will share their expertise, but most important, they are going to leave us with some practical tips. Do it now. And I am talking about no other than Mrs. Akleema Ali and Reverend Joslyn Farray. Good night, ladies. How are you tonight?
I'm fine, thank you,
Oh, I
Lucia.
am doing fine.
Awesome. So I really want to thank you for taking this time to give us from your time, from your busy schedule, and actually looking forward to hear your comments, your answers in the topic of loving yourself. So, but before I even get into it, I want to give you the opportunity to tell this audience who you are. So I am going to start with Akleema Ali. Give us in three sentence, right? Three sentence. I know you wear many hats, right? Why are you qualified to talk about loving yourself tonight? But I also want you to give me one fun factor about Akleema Ali.
All right, three things about me that I think make me qualified would be um it's been 19 years. This year will make it 19 years where I've done a lot of research and counseling concerning mental health, more specifically like rates and prevalence of depression and suicidal ideation in teens and young adults. And along that quest over the 19 years, what I came across would be I found I didn't have interest in reporting how many people were ill. I had more interest in finding out how people heal themselves, all the different modalities and therapies that people use, especially alternative and complementary therapies, to heal whatever trauma and whatever crisis they would have experienced. And the third thing would be going along that path in 2017, I was introduced to Reiki. And Lucia, not many people know what Reiki is. People stay away from energy healing. It's a Japanese technique of stress reduction, and it promotes relaxation in the physical body. So in 2018, when I became a master, I was so intrigued by the type of healing it brought to me, because that's my self care and self love tool, that I trained under three other masters. And I look at the science behind Reiki, how it brings and promotes healing, right? So that would be three things that I believe qualify me in order to share self care and self love tips.
Sure.
And the fun fact, well, obsessed with memes. I like looking at memes. I like seeing jokes, reading jokes, and I always asking people to send me memes. So that's my fun fact.
That is awesome. That is awesome, Akleema. So let us hear from you, Reverend Joslyn Farray. You're looking so beautiful, just as usual, should I say. Give us in a nutshell three. I know you also wear many hats. These ladies are really poor houses. Give us three major things that qualify you to talk about the part of loving yourself and what is so much fun about Reverend Jocelyn.
Well. I got into I want health, wellness, well-being. These are who this is who I am. From the time I know myself, my sisters, my parents, though anybody who's very close to me will tell you I focus on myself, what I eat, um, the things that I do, exercise, all those things have been with me from I lost count. Yes. But beyond that, I also went into the field of teaching. And one of the subjects that I taught for many years was food, nutrition, and health. In recent times, I also taught to the schools here, to the caregivers. I did a nutrition program on that. So my whole entire field of studies was surrounded food, nutrition, health, and that of course is part of the self-love, self-care process. In addition to that, as an ordained minister, making that connection and learning more about God and our well-being, how he wants us to love ourselves. Those are some of the things that would qualify me to relate. Of course, I have, as I said, my own personal experience. And in terms of training, also, I am trained. Sorry, I'm a little bit on the nervous side. I'm wondering what's happening.
No,
Yes,
my
I'm a
darling, go
trained
ahead.
integrative nutrition health coach, and part of my health coaching program is directly related to what I call sacred self care. So that's a big component of the program that I teach. And a fun fact about Joslyn, uh, hmm, There's there's so many. I love music. I love to dance.
Wow.
And another thing, don't knock me for a minister, but I love red wine. So I love wine and wellness. That's a fun fact.
And that is lovely. I also love wine, and there's nothing wrong with the wine. And yes, ladies, I mean, we have already people looking in. We say hi to Shalima Ali, Joseph Alif, welcome, welcome. And if you are there and you still not saying who you are, we cannot even say hi and good night to you. One thing I want you to do right now, go and still keep sharing with your friends, with your families, because you don't want to miss the path to loving yourself. So I already, it's clear for all that these awesome ladies are so qualified. I mean, super qualified, never overqualified, super, super qualified. Good night, Lisa, to talk to us about loving ourselves. But, I always hear this self-love, self-care. And I'm sure that a lot of people in the audience right now live, and those who are going to catch the replay, they might be sometime the ladies kind of confused. They talk about self-love, they talk about self-care. What, in your opinion and in your qualified opinion, is self-love and self-care? Are they the same or are they different? And I am going to get it first with Akleema. In your opinion, self-care, self-love, are these the same? Are they different?
Now, if you were to hit Google, Google will tell you that they use the word interchangeably. But when you really look at it, for me, self care is really the action or behavior that people use to promote their health. So that is where all the hygiene, the good eating, exercising, seeking professional medical care, that would fall under self care. But for me, self love is something a little bit deeper. And if you ask me, self love is the acceptance of your life journey. Self love is not just looking in your mirror and liking the reflection that you see, but when you go past your physical body, are you able to accept all the experiences life have given you? Are you able to look back with love? So, for example, when you look back on your teens, you look back at your 20s and your 30s. Sometimes I know we have experiences that may make us cringe, that might make us think, I can't believe I lived through that. But I always say self love is you being kind and compassionate to yourself. And if you could truly accept your life journey and all what God has given you to experience, you'll look back your life in love.
Wow. How this then resonates with you, Reverend. Self-love, self-care. What this is to you.
Absolutely. I totally agree with Kimi. Self-love to me means knowing who you are and unapologetically accepting yourself for all of you, all who you are. It is it is knowing that I am this person, and I love her for all that she is, whether there is flaws or no flaws. This to me is self-care, getting to the core of who you are and accepting who you are. And for self-care now, it is that thing we do for ourselves. It's physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. That to me is what self-care is all about, is that act. Same thing as what Kimi says.
That is awesome. And I love how you say unapologetically. Because sometimes we try to, according to all your definitions, you try to accept yourself, but you still have some reservations, you still hear into the opinion of others, and you know, um, and sometimes you are hard on you, not on your physical, but the way that as Kimmy say, you stand in the mirror, what you see, and if you don't like what you see in the mirror, then you start to dislike yourself. You will not longer love yourself. So this take me to a next question. Could you actually, and Reverend, I want you to answer this right away. Could you actually love yourself without taking care of yourself? Can you practice self love without practicing self care?
Huh, that's a tall one. Now, what I would say, I put it the opposite way. One can do practice self care and not have self love. So you can do the mechanics as it relates to self care. It's like getting up in the morning, brushing your teeth. We know we have to brush our teeth, but so that will be a part of self care. But when it comes to the self love, that's a whole different story in itself.
What about you, Kimi? Would you be
Well,
able to love yourself if you actually don't take care of yourself?
well, remember the two are linked. So, for example, if you really have the opinion and your behavior shows that you don't care about yourself, you remember self love, what you want to try and cultivate is that you are a person of respect. You are carving a person of value and of worth. But if your self care activities are zero, you're eating only comfort food, you're not exercising, you are not acknowledging the fact that you are a person of worth. So it's very difficult to not do the self care and then say, I still love myself. Very hard. So you have to start with something. They go hand in hand, they blend, they're supposed to move in harmony with each other. One's supposed to help you, encourage you to grow, to a way forward. So I always tell people, even if you cannot do the self care, you have to start with something that would welcome more into your life.
And that is awesome. So, ladies, you really taking me into a different understanding and a different dimension, because how could you accept yourself if you are not healthy? How could you accept yourself if your body is not functioning properly? How could you accept yourself if you are tired? If oh my God, this mechanics links with this a more holistic thing, and I mean, definitely I fully understand, and I will encourage, if you are there live right now, I encourage and welcome questions, because I have a lot of questions still to ask to these two amazing panelists. And I seen how you are so well knowledgeable about this topic, and you so confidently talking about that. But I have a real tough question for you tonight, and I want you to be very honest, because we're doing it real here, real and raw. We are helping our fellow sisters and brothers. Did you ever stop loving yourself or caring for yourself at some time in your life? Did you ever experience that lack of self-care and self-love? Reverend, did you?
In total honesty, there are certain aspects of self care that even I, as being a minister as well as being a health coach, still have struggles with. I remember a period in my life where I actually seek professional help in relationship to self-love. And that aspect of self-love for me was in boundaries, setting boundaries. And I coined this within our health coaching arena, the martyr syndrome. Now, I grew up being a pleaser. I grew up being this very courteous person, putting everybody else above myself in certain things. And I forever had to be constantly working on this. So there was a period where this affected me so badly that it in turn affected my finances. And there was also a situation in regards to the whole self-love. Now I was busy taking care of myself because I knew how to, the right type of food to eat. I knew how to do the pampering. I knew about the journaling. I knew all of that and I was doing it. But I had to get to a deeper bit of why I was doing certain things, which was causing me to be in a cycle that I didn't like at all. Right? I thought it was very unprofitable. And so I went to get that help. And from that, I think it's, but I think also self love and self care is a continuous thing that we got to do. It's not just a one day or one time something, but it's something. So, in terms of myself, yes, in the area of setting boundaries, I had to literally work on it and learning to be assertive and sticking up for myself instead of allowing somebody else to get the benefit of me, and to be at my detriment.
And that is something that I think a lot of us practice and is putting people first. So, but before I come back right to you, because you provoke the next question, I want to hear from Kimi. We call her Kimi, you know, she allows to call her Kimi by short. Kimi, did you ever dislike yourself? Did you ever stop taking care of yourself?
I did, and similar to Revlon, I could identify with that. And the thing is, like, I came out of a very traumatic relationship. And when I came out of the relationship, I was like, it's my time. It's all about me. So I started to do the exact thing that Reverend did. I started to exercise. And let me tell you, I was doing all the self care in the book. I was doing yoga. I was doing high impact exercise. I was juicing. I was eating healthy. And then I do a lot of reading. So I was reading about how people heal themselves. I was reading Louise Hay, Wayne Dyer, Deepak Chopra, and doing the exercises. But where I realized that I fell short in the reading, they started to ask you to do different exercises for you to heal. And where I got stuck and where I sensed my resistance was unforgiveness. So, for example, I was able to read the entire book and I avoided the forgiveness exercise. And even when I reread the book a year after, I still wasn't ready. So, this is what the exercise asked me to do, right? It asked me to picture the person that hurt me the most. And they said, close your eyes, picture the person, and put that person in your heart space. Right? Put that person in your heart space and tell that person, thank you, I love you. And let me tell you, when I read the exercise in the first place, I said, this cannot be the way to heal myself. I say this exercise is rubbish. I am not putting this person in my heart space. This person mash up my life. I couldn't do it. But I kept trying. The easier I read over the activity over and over, I kept trying the activity until one day I really could actually put the person, and even now I could write a letter of gratitude to the person, right? But the thing is, you have to keep trying sometimes, and that's where you realize you have a block. So I could do all the self-care, I could do the affirmations, I could do the meditation, but to truly love myself, I would have to look back at even that traumatic relationship and you say, you know what? Thank you so much for coming into my life because I've become so much stronger. I've learned to be resilient. I've learned to build my life, build back my life over from zero. And for that, I am grateful. So,
Amazing.
yeah, and it is a journey. It is a journey because each stage of your life going to test you with different people, different circumstances, things we cannot predict. And it's going to test what you have learned. And similar to Reverend, I also have issues with boundaries. So that is what I'm working on right now.
Yes, because the question I wanted to ask, you have actually answered a portion of that, but I want to really hear from Reverend. How did you realize and what you actually did, what you put in place, what mechanism you actually put in place to actually love yourself, you know, and in conjunction with that, how the persons around you actually reacted to this decision that you now have to take to love yourself by setting some parameters in your life?
Oh, it's a long process, and this is something that I'm still working on. But setting boundaries, being assertive, and to address the latter part of what you asked in terms of persons. Within my immediate environment, there were some folks who were very, they were waiting on me to set the boundaries. They were very accommodating. They respected me and they just went along. And of course, there was times that I got pushback. I got constant pushback where I had to enforce and say, this is what, for instance, if I said, let's first say something within the household. And I said, no, I may say Sunday is my self care day. And there are certain things I would not be doing. So if something came up where I had to do it, I would say, remember, I told you I'm not available to do that at this time. You understand? And there are times because I've bumped some difficult people when it comes to the pushback, both in my workplace and in my immediate environment at times where they threw a tantrum. They wanted me to do what they wanted to do, and I had to stand my ground, literally stand my ground. I got to the point, and that's where the self love came in, and a lot of then I meditate quite a lot. So the meditation helped me, of course, to remain calm. Some simple things sometimes when in the immediate vicinity of that, I will count just simply 1, 2, 3, do a deep breath, and then address the person again. I said, I would not be able to do this. I'm sorry. Probably I can assist another day, but not today. So, this is a very simple thing that helped me in terms of standing my grounds and not being a martyr. You said something else. Can you just repeat it?
I want you to actually tell me how challenging was that, making that decision, how challenging it was and how it actually affected the environment. Because as I ask, as I go into this self, when we talk about self-love, when we talk about self-care, are we being selfish? And
Not at all.
a lot of people, might thinking about that, but they are being selfish. Saying about you, caring about you, loving you. Is this selfishness?
No, it's not. And coming from a very religious background, we were taught, I know back then for me, I was taught like you heard scripture verses, and I want to address it for those folks these women us women, we were taught to turn the other cheek. We were taught things like, um, love your neighbor. Well, they did say love your neighbor as yourself, but some people just look at love your neighbor. And so we had this sort of programming where, as women more than ever, we were taught, that the masculine should take first place and the masculine gender should take first place. And we as the female gender should put ourselves down. And another thing, we should always be given to our family, given to our friends, and leave the scripts for us, you know? And it is not selfish to stand up for yourself and to really and truly fall in love with that person that God created you to be. And you came here for a particular purpose, whether that be simply just taking care of yourself and your family, or it is to do with your whatever career position you may hold, whatever that purpose is. In order to fulfill that purpose effectively, you got to have self-love. If you don't have self-love, sisters and brothers, if you don't have that, well, you cannot fully be yourself and carry out that purpose. And then you cannot fully show love to that person. And we hear this common saying where they ask you when you in an airplane that you put on your seatbelt first and then you put on your seatbelt of your loved ones. It's the same thing. You fluid yourself first. You give yourself the love and care first.
Truly,
And then,
yes.
as your cup is full, you give from that. It's so much more pleasant. And that's where you would avoid being abusive to your children. You would avoid being inconsiderate of your partner if you have one, and a number of other things. So being self-compassionate, loving yourself, putting yourself first is not a selfish act. In fact, if you don't do it, I will say you are being selfish. It's not selfish to show self-love to yourself.
Awesome. I endorse what you say, Reverend. For me, also, at times I struggle. I also struggle, and I love all what you ladies are sharing here because it even bringing reaffirmation for me in some topics and lights in others. So I want to hear Akleema, how it was for you. You have to actually also take some measurements in order to save yourself and get back to that love that you must have for you. How was the challenge actually when you had to take these measurements? People call you selfish. It was hard for you to actually break that mentality of what they're going to say. I have to do this for me. How it was for you?
Yeah, similar to Reverend, I mean, the journey is always challenging, but it is a learning experience because that's how you build strength within. But, likewise, as women, what Reverend is saying is identical. We tend to self sacrifice to help everybody else. And in fact, she talking about scraps. There are some people who don't even give themselves scraps. They keep helping other people blossom. They help and they give. And that is where the statement really comes from. You cannot give from an empty cup. I was listening to Wayne Dyer just last week, and he was saying, that is why they say you must have self-love first. Because if you are giving to people, then what are you giving? You won't be giving love. You're really giving out your energy. By the end of the day, you have to carve. We all come from a place of divine love. And you have to honor that space, right? You must be the most positive person in your head. You can't just expect to be given to everybody else. So the journey has been difficult. But the thing is, because I've always been like interested in reading, doing self-care techniques. I mean, so my family is accustomed to me like putting thank you and different things on cardboard and sticking it all over the walls. And they'll be like, what is this? They may ask, what is this? What are you doing now? What is this about? But they're accustomed doing that because they know I would have read something somewhere or I'm practicing something. And it's the same thing with Reiki. I mean, they don't understand what Reiki is, but every time I share with them, I'm doing this, Reiki has done this for me, I got this article published in a magazine, I use gratitude all the time. And gratitude is outside of Reiki. If you talk about self-love, that is one of the things that I have done religiously. I type in my gratitude every day on my phone. I journal about what would heal me. And what I do, I did a lot of self-talk. So I also had to talk to myself, saying not just affirmations, but saying that I have to come from a place of understanding from within. That when I look back at something I did 15 years ago, I would have done it with a limited knowledge, information, and understanding of the world. And sometimes we judge ourselves because we know better now. But when you look back, that is what compassion is. So a lot of the times I did a lot of self-talk and I said, listen to me, I have to be able to forgive not only the other person, I have to be able to forgive myself for where I've been. And I said, you know, when you look back at your life, I was telling somebody last week, I said, we look back and we only want to pull out all the highlights. We pull out all the happy moments. I said, but we also have to talk about the things that broke us, the things that shatter our soul. We have to talk about those things, because at the end, when you look back at your life, you look at this grand masterpiece that you survive, and it's God that have you going. You know, the other day I was so ill, I was in so much of pain. And you know, I look at all these inspiring people came up and they are also suffering with whatever they have. And I'm like, I don't understand how you do it. And they were like, God have me here, girl. God have me going. You know, whether it's for my children, whether it's for me, whether it's for the church. They say, girl, it's just God have you here. And they say, you just keep doing what you're doing, because that is what you're meant to do. And you know, it gives you a kind of refreshing spirit that sometimes you don't even know why you're doing what you're doing. You're going through the motions. By the end of the day, I always say women have to embrace what they've survived. I mean, you know, they say when you heal something in yourself, you heal it in your whole ancestral line. Your grandmothers would have suffered, your great grandmothers, all of these wounds come to all the women that follow. So the more you keep transforming yourself and working on yourself, by means everybody will benefit from it. You'll be a more loving person, a kinder person. And in fact, what you're really doing is when you transform yourself, you inspire other people to transform their own life. Everybody have their journey, everybody have a soul journey, everybody have different lessons to learn. But what I found was the more I work on myself, everybody gets inspired to do the same. Everybody embrace what they love. Everybody start to do charity work. Everybody start to do meditation. People start to do affirmations, and they start to dig up in different things that they love. And it's such a beautiful thing to see, because everybody is so different. And I love seeing everybody just be themselves and be so authentic. And because they're acknowledging where they've been and they're acknowledging what they love. And that's what everybody here for, just to give love to each other and support each other on our life journey. So it is difficult, but I always say, once you set the intention and you keep telling God, send me people that are going to heal me, send me people that are going to support me, put me in a place where I could just let go all my burdens on a prayer mat or in a space. You keep asking for that, your journey is going to carve like a river, and you're going to meet all the perfect people that are going to help you on your journey. And you'll want to know where all this magnificent people coming from. They're coming from God. They're coming from nobody else. Because that's where He put in you. He put in you to heal yourself. So it is hard, but this is what we're here for. We here, me and Reverend, here to encourage everybody that it could be done. No matter what you're going through, no matter how lonely you feel. We live in an age where you could reach out on the internet and reach out to a stranger, send an email to somebody. There are supportive people out there that exist. You have to be brave enough to ask for it and reach out.
Now, I mean, you have answered so many of the little questions I had in between. But I really, you ladies have been mentioning what you did, but between the lines, I want you to summarize and actually give me some tips. I want at least 3 tips from each one of you, like 3 do it right now tips, and you will start to feel that ease, right? If you encounter someone right now that you could identify with your experience, you know, this person really having, and the way they talk, you could sense, you could hear it, that they don't have no love for themselves, you know, and it's clear now for us that self-love is not self-care. You could have someone actually being healthy, as Reverend mentioned, she was doing all the mechanics of the self-care, eating healthy, doing exercising, this and that, but still, you know, that love wasn't there, that she wasn't in that respect. You, for instance, you was reading, you was doing your exercises, but this one on forgiveness, you know, that love part. I want you to give us at least 3 takeaway points on, okay, to love yourself. What have actually helped you ladies in your real life, in your testimonies. Give me 3 and 3. Just give me one, I did this. Second, I have to encounter and face this, because this is why we face it. We face it first before we could fix it. If we don't face it, we cannot fix it. We cannot keep it on the back burn all the time. As Kimmy was saying, I was when I reached to this part of the exercise, and I just flip that page. I keep it back. No, face it, then fix it. You cannot go and fix someone else if you don't fix yourself first. So in this journey of self-care, self-love, give me 3 tools, 3 tips. You have talked about meditation. Reverend talk about taking a deep breath before you actually say something, because after you say it, the damage is worse. Kimmy said she journal, she read, she write, she affirm. Give me 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. If I need now to assess myself where I am going to start, we already understand it's difficult. We already understand it's a journey. 1, 2, 3, Reverend. Give us 3 takeaways, what we could start doing right now once we are conscious that something have to change.
Okay, I'll pull from my journey, and 3 of the things that I did that really helped. It's the first thing in terms of looking at myself, I journal. And with that journaling, to pull in from what Kimmy said, part of that journaling would have been affirmation. So I looked at myself and I looked at all the things that may not have been not working out for me, and I journal a lot. Then 2, I always make the connection through meditation. I always. So meditating, and part of that involves the breathing, breath work, which is highly recommended. So those of you may not know how to meditate just as yet, start with the breathing. And when you are breathing, you're breathing from your abdomen, your tummy, your belly, that area here. I have an activity that I normally said to ladies: put one hand on your tummy and one hand on your chest space, your heart space. And you take 3 deep breaths. And you know that by taking these 3 deep breaths, we can practice it now. So let's do it.
I am doing it.
1, 2, and 3. Now, there's much more to doing this, but one of the best thing is that helps to send oxygen to your brains. Yes? And it helps to clear up whatever fog that might be there and put you in a better frame of mind, clear your thinking, and help you to make better decisions. So that's 2. And 3, oh my, for me, oh my. Well, I think the first thing that came to mind is my eating. I say eat high vibration food. That's what I wanted to give you all something different, but this is what Spirit wanted me to carry for you. Eat high vibration food. What do I mean by that? Instead of all the carbs, the processed food, you want to focus more on food that is fresh, raw, fruits and veggies. Yes, if you can do less cooking, cut out, some meat from your diet. I'm not telling you go be vegetarian. If you want to be that, perfect. But you can have a meatless day. I advocate meatless Monday. So you pick a day and you put aside that, so it can help you to begin to love on yourself and take care of yourself in the process. Yes? So I leave the rest to Kimmy, because I go
Awesome.
on and on.
So eat high vibration food, journaling, that is affirmation and all of these awesome things, and meditation. Ladies, we're starting at least with breathing. one hand in your tummy, one hand in your chest. 3 deep breaths. You could do that even in your car. You could do that if somebody just say something to you, just watch them straight. Put one hand in your tummy, one hand in your chest, and take 3 breaths and tell them, God bless you. Kimmy, what about you? 3 tips. 3 tips.
Right, 3 tips, and of course, I would support the ones that Reverend put, right? Because I also practice those things. My number one tip would be count your blessings. No matter where you are, no matter what you do, what I do right through my day, I say thank you as a mantra. I repeat thank you no matter what I'm doing. From the time I get up and I wake up, before I get off the bed, breath. Breath is life. To breathe is a miracle. And I think if you were to stop and really think about how miraculous it is to breathe and to be a human, all the things that you worry about would suddenly disappear. To move, to have your senses, to have your speech. When you get up and you're sleeping, or even when you're sleeping, your organs operate on automatic. You don't have to program your heart, you don't have to program your intestines. There's a divine life force that remains operating for you. So count your blessings. So even when I am doing work, I doing reports, I in the grocery, I'm saying thank you, going through the lane. Thank you for giving me money. Thank you for letting me buy this whatever item. Thank you for the cashier. Thank you for everything when I'm on the road. So I would say count your blessings, practice gratitude is my number one thing. And I want to put out a challenge to all the ladies or anybody who's listening, what they could try. Write a love letter to yourself.
Wow.
You're going to sit down and write a love letter to yourself, and you will write why you are proud of yourself. You will write why you are amazing. You're going to write, things that nobody ever acknowledged. You're going to acknowledge you and acknowledge the life that you have. So sit down and write either a love letter or a thank you letter to yourself. All the hard work that you're doing, put a thank you letter. And the third thing, if you're really struggling and you don't know where to start, the same way you take a list of paper and you write down what you want in the grocery, you make a grocery list because you want to welcome something into your life. If you don't know where to start drawing hearts on a piece of paper, start writing words like love, harmony, balance, flow, whether you want to raise, Christ consciousness in your divine light, whatever your journey is, you write it on a piece of paper and start writing those words and drawing hearts. And let me tell you, that is a very amazing technique. You're taking whatever it is from your imagination, and when you put pen to paper, there's much power in writing what you want. So those are my 3 things. Count your blessings, write your love letter to yourself, a gratitude letter to you, because nobody else doing it, so you'll do it for yourself. And the third thing I would say, take that blank piece of paper and start writing all the words you want to welcome into your life, or draw a set of hearts. I always drawing things on the car everywhere. Everywhere I go, I drawing hearts. And everybody that message me, I reply to them. And Lucia, I always be sending hearts, sending flowers, sending prayer hands. That's what I do. So y'all could try that. Challenge yourself.
Wow, ladies. I in my journey, because it's so amazing. Sometimes when you go through something in life, you only realize that you was never alone until you come to a forum like this. These panels have opened my eyes so much to things that, some of the things that I would say was still sleeping on the lining on my mind. I struggle a lot with guilt. I struggle a lot with people may be thinking I'm selfish, or people may be thinking I love it myself too much. When some people tell you who you feel, what you feel, what you always, because I always try to be happy. And uh, um, I'm so glad that we started this series with this, the part of loving yourself, because for me was also a journey. Once upon a time, I was all for everybody, and I still are for people, but I now learn how to love myself. right? You cannot love, I mean, you have said this in the comments. How could you love someone if you don't love yourself? In practical life, you are in a plane, as Reverend mentioned, and they say, in a case of an accident, when the mask drop, adjust your mask first, and then, you know, and I love the fact that um, she also draw it from scriptures, because sometimes we get so religious, and that I mean, forget about you, because God do it for you. You have to keep doing for everybody, but love thy neighbor as you love yourself. So this take me to that: if you always quarreling with your neighbor, if you always saying bad things about your neighbor, if you always despising your neighbor, oh, that is the same thing you want for you. So how will you then do what really God want us to do with our neighbors? Have to start from us. You
And
have
it's
to
so
start from
interesting you
us.
said that, Lucia, because as you rightly say, what you give out, you get more of. And what I want to tell people, and I'm sure Reverend would have noticed this in her life journey as well, the more you work on yourself, sometimes it requires you to let go people that do not add positive value to your life. When you start to work on yourself, that is some of the changes that come, because you need to be around more inspiring, healing people that are going to guide you on how to heal yourself.
So I want to give now the audience, I have been looking at some questions, and I want you to, I mean, some of them you might have already talked about it, but before even we finish, I want to give them the opportunity to hear your answers. And Salima Ali say, how do we become self-aware? And this is very, very important, because you cannot fix what you don't know, what you cannot have not faced. How do we become self-aware enough to identify where we have gaps in self-love? Who are going to take this question? Come on.
I
What came
can
to mind?
contribute one point.
Go ahead, Reverend.
Sorry? No, you can. I just want to say one thing. One thing you will know to be self-aware is if you find you keep repeating cycle of negative things in your life, cycle of things that you don't want, you keep repeating and repeating, that is one way that will help you to be aware that there is some aspect of self-love that you need to work on. Kimmy, you can go ahead.
Yeah, correct. That's a perfect way to spot the cycle. A lot of the times they complain about something repeating. What I would say is go back, try the exercise I did, the forgiveness exercise. You take a traumatic experience or somebody that hurt you badly, or you go back to several experiences. Can you picture that person in your heart space and tell them, thank you, I love you?
Wow.
Any experience. And if you could do that very easily, well, then, you're on your way. But a lot of the times when you start to do these things, the people that bring us, make us feel stifled, we call it our light shine, the people that have a toxic energy. And you picture these people, because sometimes you're seeing these people regularly, and you have to be able to send that people love and release them with love and wish them love. We can't do that. So test yourself with respect to forgiveness. Test yourself with sending people love.
Awesome. So we have our next Salima. Salima has been so active. How to get motivated to do proper self-care? How to get motivated to do proper self-care?
I think
Reverend
sometimes,
or
sorry, no,
Okimi.
yeah, what, and I know Reverend's still thinking about it. What comes to mind initially is how you get motivated. Sometimes you have to not be afraid to ask for help. You get motivated by seeing people, talking to people, going on the net, looking at inspirational material. Because if you just remain you and you alone, you are not going to get the motivation. You're not going to feel the energy. So, by all means, how you begin to get motivated, you have to get motivational material. Listen, see, talk to people, and they will inspire energy in you to get you going where you need to be.
Awesome.
I totally agree with you, Kimmy. And one additional thing, another one of the first thing you can do, in fact, one of those psychologists, I can't remember her name now. She encouraged you, and even we have what in our practice mirror work. So first thing you get up in the morning, one of the first thing you can do is say, "Good morning." "Oh, I love you." Even so, if you don't feel like it, you say it. Look in the mirror and say good morning. Maybe you can't get to the part of saying I love you yet. So that's one way of helping yourself to get motivated. And as Kimmy said, get around people. Staying by yourself, especially if you're going through a very challenging time, is a killer. So probably taking a walk, it helps. Being around people who are positive, that helps. That will keep, when you see people doing things that you want to do, maybe you see someone, um they're probably eating the right type of food, or they're going on their walks, they're exercising. When you're around these persons like that, you will become motivated to want to do what they are doing.
Ladies, this is awesome. I really, I mean, I wish we have more time because I have so, I mean, you have mentioned so many things, but it's a, what is a good thing that this is just part one where we had tonight. If you actually join us late, or if you actually just sharing this, or you're gonna catch the replay, this is women's episode. Face it and fix it. Women's episodes. This month of October is dedicated to the path to loving yourself, self-care, self-love, and not only to address it, but giving you tips on how you could go about practicing it. We get awesome tips from Reverend Joslyn. Eat high vibration food, journaling, affirmations, and meditation. Awesome. Easy exercise. One hand on your tummy, one hand on your heart. Take 3 deep breaths. Amazing. We get from Miss Kimmy, Akleema Ali. Count your blessings. Always be thankful, right? This machinery called body works automatically. You don't have to do nothing. So you just get up every single morning and say thank you. You walk through the street, you walk through the grocery, you say thank you, thank you. You have to be very thankful. Second, write a love letter, a gratitude letter to yourself. Write to you, fall back in love with you. Go in front of the mirror and say, mirror, mirror, what are you seeing? And then you take your pen and paper and you start to fall in love with you. Date with yourself again. And number 3, you just draw hearts. Take a blank piece of paper, you draw hearts with positive words, stick positive words. Ladies, this work. It is challenging, they acknowledge it. You know, it's a process, they acknowledge it. Right? But I could assure you, even from my own experience, when you love yourself, then you are capable of loving others. And one last thing, I just want to, I just want to close with this question. I just want a quick answer from the both of you. How you have seen the impact on your environment and your relationships when you actually decided to love yourself. Good, bad. What have you noticed?
My word is majestic. The
Awesome.
world and everybody gets more beautiful. I tell you, the world is a reflection of you, what you have inside. And the more you work on you, the more everybody you meet is just pure beauty.
Reverend?
One word. Life is phenomenal when you embrace who you are and you love on this person and you give other people the opportunity to fall in love with themselves too. And what better? That's what we call loving yourself and loving your neighbor as yourself.
And I will add to that unapologetically. That is key.
Fantastic.
Unapologetically love yourself. So we came to an end of this first episode, part one, on the month of October, the part two, loving yourself. And you have to stay tuned because we're going to come back here, not next week, but the following week. Stay tuned. Look for the information in our web, in our pages. Share this. Tell a friend. Tell a family, because this month we are less than 80 days to close 2022, and you will agree with me that the past 2 years have been one of the two of the most stressful years of our life, I could tell you. And even before we could think about new resolutions, we have to start to make some shifting. And I think that the first shift have to be looking at us. What we give out is what we have inside. What we give out is what we see in the mirror every morning. That is the only way we could affect and impact the entire world. So love yourself, ladies and gents, and remember to do it unapologetically. Stay tuned for more. Have a good night. Bye bye.